I work customer service at a chain restaurant. People who complain are disappearing. Submitted to r/nosleep by Unhappy Possession 57. Chicken Divine, how can I help you? I muttered for the 15th time that day, trying to hide my utter disdain for this moronic job. My coffee was cold, sitting next to my laptop, laughing at the state of my life. Yes sir, I understand. Yep. Well, I do apologize. The job was supposed to be part-time, something to pay the bills and keep me busy as I waited to hear back from grad school. Besides, there was not much to do in this sleepy town anyway. I can offer you a free sandwich on your next visit. I will text you the coupon shortly. He hung up. Satisfied, I hoped. I swiveled in my chair when I heard footsteps. A tall gate with a slight delay on the second step. I couldn't figure out who this was, which was a little strange considering that I knew almost everyone in the office. I turned to find Bill walking right toward us. It was a rare sight to see him here. Most employees had only spoken to him once or twice. Didn't help that there were rumors that he had started to lose it after his wife left him. Ironically, he opened the restaurants with what he had left after the divorce. He walked past our section and nodded at Deb and me. The door to his office closed, and the tension in the room immediately dropped. What is up with that man? I asked Deb, why is he so weird around here? He is busy working, let him be, she replied. The phone rang. Chicken Divine, how can I help you? Deb asked, with a familiar smile on her face. Deb was as good as someone working in customer service could get. She consistently ranked the highest in her surveys, while I was mostly average. Perhaps I needed a lesson in patience. How do you do it, Deb? What's the secret? The key is to empathize, she said. That sounded easy enough, but I never could apply it to practice. Being at a job like this can wear you down fast. Most days, I'd go home completely spent, emotionally and mentally. Didn't help that my only friend was a sweet old coworker in her 50s. It all started on a mundane day. I had come home from a long day of work and was lounging on my sofa, trying to nurse a beer before bed. The news was playing in the background. A body had been found in one of the houses by the park. A tragedy, I thought, but nothing extraordinary in these parts of town. After all, the town experienced a homicide every few years. What was interesting, however, was the cause of death. The victim had been stabbed and then hacked to death, limbs were scattered around the area. Police refused to provide more details, but I was able to correctly assume that it was Mr. Carr based on the pictures of the house. I was at work when the second one was announced. A kidnapping. Police were looking for clues on the whereabouts of Ms. Irene Sparlock. Irene was 45 and about 5 feet 7 inches. She was last seen leaving the grocery store a week prior. We all started taking more precautions. I stopped leaving the house after dark, Deb started to work remotely, and police presence was significantly increased. The town was now draped in a cloud of anxiety and fear. A press conference was held. Justice was promised. In the subsequent months, people understandably became skeptical of strangers. It wasn't until the third one that I realized that something here was amiss. This time, the chief inspector broke the news to us. A third body had been found. The MO was remarkably similar to that of the first homicide. Robert S. Flores had been found dead in his apartment by his wife. He had been stabbed 22 times, and the job had been completed with a machete. He was just 28. This one hit me harder than the rest since I had spoken to him a week prior. He was given the wrong soda, but that was all I could recall. 3 months later, 2 more people disappeared, Larry Henderson and Letta Edwards. The police, already stretched thin, were now questioning all leads and spending most of its resources on the case. The frenzy had died down a bit, so it made their jobs a little easier. That Tuesday, I pulled into work and was overtaken by a feeling of dread, like someone had just told me that my own death was imminent. I felt a shock travel down my limbs and had a tingling sensation in my head. I had an itch that needed to be scratched. I rerouted all my calls and started pacing around the office. Larry Henderson. Larry Henderson. I had seen that name before. I pulled up our customer interaction spreadsheet. I found his name in row 117. It looked like his call was about missing ketchup. I kept staring at the spreadsheet, combing through all the complaints we had received in the past year. My heart sank. Irene Sparlock. This had to be a coincidence. Brian Carr was 15 rows above Irene. My hand shaking, I searched for Letta Edwards. Sure enough, highlighted in yellow was her name on the screen. 15 rows below Larry. I slumped in my desk in utter disbelief. Panic eventually gave way to a frightening insight. There were precisely 15 rows between each case. I double-checked this, triple-checked it, and then called 911. Much of what happened after is a blur. I was at the station giving my statement. Officers were shepherding me from room to room. Bill, the restaurant owner, was called in for questioning. Detective Irby told me they had been following him for the past 3 months. His car had been spotted near 2 of the murders around midnight, which they believed was when the crimes occurred. The company was bought for pennies on the dollar. I quit right after the news broke. Deb also took the plunge into her retirement and moved up north. I felt uneasy about the whole thing. I knew that Bill was strange and a bit reclusive, but I had never in a million years expected this. Around the time of sentencing, I got into a master's program across the country. The town was able to breathe a sigh of relief, and I was able to finally initiate my exit plan. Right at the beginning of fall, I had packed my bags and was ready to move out. I checked the mail one last time and found a letter addressed to me with no return address. I opened it. Hey kiddo. Thank you for covering for me till the very end. See you soon? Deb.